34 for KSTP degrees and 24 up till 6 o'clock.
Now, KSTP Sports.
Dave Sheehan, KSTP Sports. Good afternoon, Dave. What's happening?
Well, there's not as much happening today in the world of sports as there was yesterday, Don. But, of course, we do have the golf tournament out in Pasadena.
The LA Open,
the one they moved around from one course to another. Gene Littler is the early leader, came in with a 67 after getting bogeys on the first 3 holes, and still finished up with a 67. Arnie Palmer had a 69. He is the defending champ in the Los Angeles Open.
Mm-hmm.
Dave Marr, George Archer, and Don Bies, I believe it is, B-I-E-S, had 68s. And Paul Harney, Bruce Crampton, and Dave Stockton are in at 70. Gabe Brewer had a 72. Of course, Jack Nicklaus is not in that tournament.
Is he still down in Acapulco fishing?
I don't know what he's doing, but he's not. He's cooling it. He's not going to be there. The Muskies play tonight at home against the New Jersey Americans, and of course this is the club with Dan Anderson, the big kid from Augsburg, who's been doing a very good job for them, averaging about 12 points a game. They've got Tony Jackson, the former St. John's, New York superstar, who has been doing an excellent job for them. And of course, in the last week, they obtained Laverne Tart from the Oakland Oaks in that controversial trade.
I understand he's not a regular. He's sitting on the bench, 6-man kind of thing.
Right, he is. They haven't broken him into the lineup as yet because naturally in the middle of the season they had their lineup pretty well set, and they've been using him as a 6th man, and of course you couldn't get a better 6th man in the league because he can come off the bench and break a game wide open. He scored 22 and 26 points in the 2 games that he's played any major portion of for the Americans, so certainly he's an addition to their club, and they are very much in the running, of course, with the playoff system in the ABA is going to be much like the NBA playoff system, with the top 4 teams competing for first against third and second against fourth in 3 out of 5 game series, and then 4 out of 7 game series between the 2 divisional winners. So certainly they're still in the playoffs, and they're still planning for this year. And in picking up Tart, this definitely strengthened their ball club. They're going to be a tough club to contend with all the way out. And the North Stars are in Philadelphia in what I think is probably the most important game, and although I think we'll probably be saying this again before the season's over, but up to this point I think this is definitely the most important game of the season for the North Stars. They are now 9 points, 10 points behind the league leaders.
3-way tie there, huh?
Right, they are tied with 39 points, and the Flyers have 49 points. Now if we lose tonight, we drop 12 points behind them. That's 6 full games. And this is a long way to come back. Even though Philadelphia has a lot of games with the Eastern clubs, and we have been had most of our games with the Eastern clubs out of the way, Philadelphia doesn't seem to have that much trouble with them. They beat Toronto last night, and they've been beating some of the Eastern clubs very handily. Not handily, but they've been beating them, and beating them on their own ice, on the visiting team's ice, not on Philadelphia ice. They're very tough in Philadelphia.
Great goaltending, plus they seem to be able to skate that puck over the blue line.
Right,
rather
that's
than shoot it from center ice.
That's true, and Doug Favell yesterday kicked out 46 shots and gave up 1 goal, so he kicked out 46 out of 47 shots on goal yesterday against Toronto, and that's a pretty fair showing in the nets for Philadelphia. So they're going to be very tough, and this is a big game for the North Stars. They did not skate well against St. Louis last night.
Was it 50-14 on shots on goal, something like that?
It was 40-14, I believe.
It was unbelievable.
Yeah, they scored 5 times, and Maniago had 35 saves, I believe, and we only got off 16 shots on goal. I think 14 of them were kicked out, and 2 of them went in. And the North Stars did not look good. They're going to have to really wake up and play a tough game tonight, or they're going to find themselves 12 points out of first place, and it's going to be a long, long road back.
Anything new in baseball? Any big signings today, or
Tommy Agee signed with the Mets, and of course he was a big acquisition for them over the winter, getting him from the White Sox. They signed a couple other players, Don Shaw, pitcher, and infielder, a minor league infielder. I think probably the biggest local story in baseball is that Calvin Griffith can now go back to Washington. He had a suit hanging over his head, legal entanglement regarding moving the club to Minnesota. It was filed in Washington 6 years ago when the team, or 7 years ago when the team moved up here, and had been hanging over his head since then, and it has now been announced that an appeal on the dismissal of that suit has been rejected, and therefore it is apparently safe now for Calvin to go back to Washington without having to be pulled into court. And he had not gone to Washington with the club in the past few years when they went down there, and he also was not able to be in there. You might recall in '65 when the Twins clinched the American League pennant in Washington, and he couldn't be there for the celebration because he couldn't go to Washington. So now he will probably go down there for the opener, April 9th or whatever it is, down in Washington.
Good enough. Is he on a plane going down there to visit old friends?
I don't know if he's going down there immediately, but certainly this is helpful. And now if we can just get Billy Martin's problems taken care of in Chicago, so he can go to Chicago for the White Sox series, why everyone will be able to travel all around the country. College basketball, there are a couple of big games tonight, but I believe the only team in the top 10 that's playing tonight is St. Bonaventure, playing St. Francis of Pennsylvania. The Bonnies are going for their 15th straight win. They're 5th ranked in the country right now. Incidentally, UCLA went out east for 2 games with Boston College and Holy Cross this weekend, and they are without Edgar Lacey, one of their starting forwards, who apparently has been having some problems with Coach Johnny Wooden and did not make the trip. He also has missed a couple of practice sessions. So with Lou Alcindor's status still questionable as to whether he'll be at full strength or not. They say he'll play, but it's still questionable as to whether he is at top efficiency yet. And with that, plus missing Lacey, they could be in for a couple of scrappy ball games on the East Coast.
How about the Gophers? They're taking on the University of Michigan this weekend at Williams Arena on the ice. Do you think they'll fare pretty well? They beat them in the Big Ten tournament and lost to them on home ice in Ann Arbor, as I recall. Didn't they drop 2 games to them?
I can't recall if it was Michigan that beat us or not.
Pretty sure they did. But, 2 games.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. It was 2
losses.
Close games, too. One of them was 3-2, I think. And, I think the Gophers can handle Michigan. I think they're a superior club, and that we should be able to win both games this weekend and keep in the race in the WCHA.
Gopher basketball team shuffling around and going through practice and trying to do it. They have a game with the Wisconsin Badgers next Tuesday.
Right, and, of course, everyone's pulling for Johnny Kondla and the boys, but I don't know. Wisconsin's got a pretty good club, and they've played pretty close to some real good clubs this year and beaten some, and are definitely a contender in the Big Ten race. So they're going to be very tough to handle, and I foresee the Gophers going down to defeat again.
Glenn Reed, one of the assistants, I understand will be on with Henry Wolf this Friday night to talk about university sports and basketball in particular. Okay, Dave, well, I know you have things to do. Thanks much for stopping by. Dave Sheehan, KSTP Sports.
If you need tires for happy, carefree motoring, buy Firestone, the safe tire. Right now, you can put Firestone Safety Champions on your car at January sale prices, starting as low as $15.80 for the popular 650 13 size tubeless Blackwall. Add federal excise tax of $1.80 each, sales tax, and trade-in tire off your car. Other sizes proportionately low. This is the high-performance tire with the modern wraparound tread design. A safe tire from Firestone. You need only remember Firestone January Safety Champion Tire Sale. Prices as low as $15.80, no money down, months to pay. At participating Firestone Safe Tire dealers and stores.
The sound of the city, the sounds that are heard in St. Paul and Minneapolis, where the mighty Mississippi journeys onward to the sea. When twilight settles on the city, gently bringing in the night, pine trees silent in the stillness, fading slowly out of sight. Hear the sound of the city, the sounds that are heard in the Twin Cities on KSTP, Minneapolis, St. Paul.
KSTP at now 5:45.
Now it's time for Weather Bowl Weather, brought to you by the 13 Northwestern banks of the Minneapolis area, who invite you...